Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Jessica Alba. I have a very special guest today, Papo Michael Warren. Hey.
Hi, sweetheart.
So this is Getting Honest with Michael Warren, aka Papo. And
good luck on that one.
Hey, you're a very honest guy. You really are. And you have so much integrity, and
well, then let's keep it that way. Let's keep it that way.
I'm not going to take any skeletons out of the closet. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. This video has been a labor of love. This is our second attempt. We did a Getting Honest skincare edition video, but it failed. It was a fail. I feel terrible that I put you through your very first facial. Oh, you just put it right over your eyes like that?
I don't know.
God.
You're supposed to be directing me on what to do. I can't even sing.
Don't put it on your eyes.
If you're gonna do it, let's do it all the way. Oh gosh.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Woo, look at me.
There was lots of really great moments that we did actually capture, but majority of it was a one-sided conversation with what actually recorded. So we're gonna do this as a do-over for the few people that may not know who you are. You were a pretty big deal in your earliest adulthood as a basketball star. You played for one of the best, most recognized teams in the world, and for arguably one of the best coaches, if not the best coach.
Wait, now, are we going to be honest about this? Because it's not one of the best. It would be the best.
He is the best.
Yeah, he is the best.
Coach Wooden. He is the best. And then you were a pretty iconic actor, and still are. You know, you also are a very hands-on father and grandfather, and then you have transitioned as an artist, as a creative person, to this newest chapter in your life, and that is an artist, a photographer, and you create these art pieces where your photography looks like paintings, and then having real storytelling and meaning behind it. And it's poetic and it's beautiful how you bring it all together. But let's start with the beginning. So let's start with your earliest days. Walk me through a little bit of that journey.
Okay, well, it kind of all started when I was 3 years old, dribbling around the house. Growing up in South Bend was pretty interesting. It's not like growing up in the South where you knew exactly where you stood. I grew up in the projects, which was 99.9% black. And at the end of the second grade, we moved to a predominantly white area. And it was total culture shock. My mother cried every day. I was going to this school, and in most of my classrooms, I was one of two blacks. So trying to fit in was not the easiest thing. But I had basketball, and I was, for the most part, better than the kids that were older. I got an opportunity to play on the sixth grade team as a third grader.
Oh wow!
What it did though was that I met this white man who was my PE coach and my basketball coach. An incredible gentleman by the name of Paul Sloan. And meeting him, he was the first guy that really saw my promise. And by meeting him, it made me less fearful, if that's the word, of the unknown. People are, for the most part, if they're prejudiced or racist, it's because they haven't taken the chance or the opportunity to get to know whatever it is that they're fearful of. And so by playing the game better than most of my classmates, it made it a little bit easier to fit in.
When you become a new parent, the world looks different. Suddenly, you're blowout conscious, more comfort conscious, but also Mother Nature conscious. It's why we at Honest designed the new Clean Conscious diaper, mindful of your babe's delicate skin and the environment, with unique features for every stage.
Be careful.
So you can be more adventure conscious, in the moment conscious, and of course, more clean conscious.
Where do you think your drive came from? Because it's like you consistently, in different ways, were always reaching for greatness and to the most of your ability and going beyond the status quo or expectations. Where do you think that came from?
Well, I appreciate you saying that. I'm not sure if it's all true, but an incident happened to me when I was a sophomore. I was playing on the varsity as a freshman, and only one other player at my high school had done that.
And what year was this around?
We're talking 1960, 61. I was called into the office by the principal, and I'm sitting there. I'm 14 years old, have no idea why I'm in the office. And my high school coach is there, the athletic directors, 3 white men. I'm sitting in this chair, this little black kid, and the principal is saying things. He's not really saying what he really feels, and I'm trying to decipher what it is that he's saying. And he says, you're going to be traveling up and down the state, and they're going to be girls, and we just want you to play basketball and not think about these girls. And they mentioned a cheerleader's name, and so when they mentioned her name, she's white, it all kind of clicked in. What he was saying is that we don't want you to get involved with any of these white girls. But now, we're talking about integration, and we're talking about sitting next to people that as I say, if there's chemistry there, how are you going to control that chemistry? And so,
Right.
As a sophomore, I get involved with a girl that I knew from junior high school, and I had a friend who got involved with her friend. And so we get called into the office. So the principal says to me, he says, "You know why you're here?" And we both almost in unison said, "No, we don't know why we're here." And he points at me and he says, "You know exactly why you're here, Buster." Now he couldn't say the N-word, right? But he called me Buster. I knew what he was saying. And it was all relating to our involvement with these girls. And from that point forward, I played sparingly. I would be put in the game, but I would be taken out if I was doing well. And this all gets to where did I get this drive, right? So at the end of that year, and I knew that I was better than the guy that the coach had put in, because he was being controlled by the principal. I said that summer I was going to become so good that there was not going to be any chance that you could evaluate us as being equal talent, even though this
Like no comparison.
no, that was my
Right.
my drive, and so I worked out every day. My junior year, there was no one that they can compare me to, and so I was put back on the varsity first team, and we had an amazing team that went all the way to the state. We lost in the state finals, but I made All-State that year, and the next year I made Parade All-American, and I was also All-State. And then that's where, my geometry teacher, who had been Wooden's assistant coach, best friend, approached me asking me, "Have you heard of Johnny Wooden, UCLA? Would you mind me making a call, because I think you could play there?" But it was that incident that instilled in me that, obviously I had to be better than this white player.
Right.
And that's what I set out to do.
And you were better, but you're saying you had to be not just better all around, but like now you had to be leaps and bounds better. So there was just no chance that it was going to be even close to a comparison.
Right.
Yeah, that's interesting. And you knew that it was racially motivated.
Oh, yeah.
Why Yeah, and so you were like, it's just so unfair how that can in any way dictate your life and the opportunity that you have. But unfortunately, it's the truth. It just is.
And it's, it's not something that others hadn't lived through and experienced. My mother was born in Mississippi. My father was born in Kentucky. And so they experienced all that kind of stuff. But to their credit, they never put that onus on to my brother or me. They made us aware for sure, but they didn't want to put that racial hatred on us, so that when we went, got involved in situations, regardless of what the situation was, we didn't have this thing where if I saw a white person, I hated him just because he was white.
How did your parents react to you dating or being interested or connecting with white girls? if that was kind of the thing that, I'm sure do you think the principal spoke with them about it, and like how did they deal with that?
My mother was called in. She was called in.
Oh, wow.
Because the girl that I was dating, her mother was the one that went to the office to complain. And so my father wanted to beat everyone up, and my principal, he wanted to fight all of them, and my mother too. And to this day, when I think about it, I mean, these girls who were involved with us had a different kind of character. I mean, they could have ruined our lives, right? And all they had to say was that, it wasn't our fault. They were the ones that were pursuing us, and in the South, I would have gotten killed. You look at thinking about Emmett Till, who supposedly, which was a total lie, whistled at this white woman, and he's murdered. They could have made up all kind of lies, right?
Right.
And much to their credit, they didn't. And to this day, I'm friends with both of them. And I will always be friends with them. And as a result of them not lying, their lives were forever changed because, they were ostracized. They had it really difficult.
So you obviously dealt with a lot of, racism and prejudice growing up in Indiana.
I didn't experience a lot of racism growing up, particularly, again, because I was an athlete, and athletes are protected, unfortunately, and so we don't experience a lot of things that people who are not star athletes have to experience. And I had some white male friends who, because they associated with us black guys, felt it from the other side, and so going up and down the state, the North is a little bit different than the South, even in the state of Indiana. The state of Indiana, in the southern part, the Klan in Martinsville, Indiana. In the northern part, there was no place that we could not go, but you knew when you would go into a store, people were watching you and doing all those kind of things. So I don't want to depict South Bend as being this place where I felt a lot of racial tension, because I didn't.
Does it feel different today than it did when you were growing up?
That's a great question.
How you move?
In some ways, no. I can still walk in a store and feel the eyes on me, watching to see what I'm going to do. Particularly if the store is upscale.
You still feel that?
Oh yeah, of course. You either allow it to stagnate you, or you rise above it. The one thing that my parents taught me, and John Wooden amplified, was that there's no one better than you, but doesn't mean that you're better than anyone else either. I try not to be judgmental, and I'll treat everybody the same unless they treat me differently. And until you prove yourself not worthy of my trust, then we're good.
But when you went to California, as someone that has really lived through various degrees of racial tension, depending on where you lived and where you were in your life, what was that like, and how did you transition to living in this new world?
The expectations were that California represents utopia, right? You're gonna where people are gonna see one another as human beings, and that it was a very naive point of view, and it ends up being kind of similar to Indiana. There were places that you really couldn't go. In Glendale at that time, they had a sundown law. You could not, which meant blacks couldn't be in that city when the sun went down.
Wow.
Now, we lived in a little cocoon on the campus, which was very protective, but and I didn't have
in Westwood, yeah.
In Westwood, and I didn't have a car, so I wasn't really able to venture out. And again, it was in the 60s, the volatile 60s, when you got the Vietnam War going on, you got women's rights, and that was just coming to the forefront, and you still had racial tensions throughout the United States, and you realize that California, Los Angeles, was just a reflection of what the general society was experiencing.
Ultimately, all anybody wants is to be treated fairly and have equal opportunity, right? The principles that I gravitate towards when it comes to this country, we do have these ideals that if you work hard enough, you can make something of yourself no matter where you're from. You still do see the outliers of folks that can push through the glass ceiling, and seeing someone like President Obama and seeing someone like Kamala Harris, in our lifetime, that is tremendous.
Without question.
And that is and so hopeful.
Yeah, I agree. I never thought in my lifetime that I would see a black man be biracial, become president of the United States. When that day happened, tears were crashing down on my face. It was an unbelievable feeling that my children could tell their children that there is no ceiling, so to speak, that you could aspire to be president or now vice president, because you have this image, this person, this real person that you can point to. Television, when I was on Hill Street, the person I looked up to was Greg Morris. He was on a show called Mission Impossible. And when you saw this black face, on television that you could relate to, now you look on television, and you see our faces everywhere, not only in front of the camera, behind the camera. You look at your company. You're putting into action things that you believe. Making sure that people from different walks of life have an opportunity. Because isn't that all that we've ever asked for? It's like you don't have to give me anything. Just put me in the room. Let me have the opportunity to compete.
Yep. We're going to be playing this video during Black History Month, and in honor of Black History Month. And the audience, my audience is wide. There's all sorts of different types of people that watch it. But for parents of kids who aren't part of the Black community, what do you think Black History Month represents, and how should they take it in?
If we told the truth, going back to the foundation of this country, how it was started, and who helped build it, from the indigenous people to the people who were brought here, I think then the majority culture would have a better idea and would respect more of the contributions that we've all made. That would be the first thing. The second thing, and I related it as a parent, is listen. Is listen, you know. When I'm talking to white friends about what racism is, don't tell me what it is. I've lived it. Just listen to what I'm saying. I'm not castigating you. I'm not, you know, putting you on the hot seat, so to speak. But just listen to my point of view and understand what I'm trying to say to you, because what I'm saying is an experience that you have not lived, but I have.
How do you teach compassion for others' experience?
I think love goes a long way, and tough love, sometimes hard love, however you want to call it, but kids are great observers, and they're watching us all the time. So I just, you know, try to present my best self, and sometimes that was good, and sometimes it wasn't, but I always was trying to be honest with them, except when it came to the bunny rabbit, the Easter bunny, you know, Santa Claus, and
Oh yeah, yeah. That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. We can leave that one alone. All right. Well, thank you so much, Papo, for being on this.
I love you.
Michael Warren, I love you so much. And everyone, please look at the website. Papo is an artist. You can buy his artwork. You can go to his website, look at his Instagram. He will send you prints if you buy it from his website, and in various sizes, and your work is beautiful and poetic, and I love it so much. So check it out. Hope you like, subscribe, comment below. Let us know what other kinds of videos you would like me to do. What other questions do you have for Papo? What would you like to see? All right. Hearts. Peace. Bye.
The things you're getting me to do. Oh my God.
I think Blake Griffin is the only other person that wiped their face and with such vigor.
Let me see.
Yeah, put them on them.
Let me see how I look.
There you go.
Well, let's take them off. I'm so beautiful. I can't believe it. I've learned all kinds of things to keep my skin nice and pretty. I think I've decreased about 10 years off of my age.